thunderstorm warning for Erie County. This goes until 7:30.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Tom Atkins. Welcome to the 2019 Severe Weather Special. I'm going to be talking to our Jet Fox storm chasers, and they're going to tell you how they provide eyes on the ground in the middle of severe storm situations.
And I'm Tom DeVecchio. I was at Edinburgh University talking to a local expert about how thunderstorms form.
Hey, I'm Dan Rupp, and I'm going to be talking about hail formation and its impacts. But first, Tom DeVecchio will explain how thunderstorms develop.
Forecasting storms can be quite a challenge, which I'm sure is a surprise to no one. But why is it so challenging? One of the reasons is that violent weather occurs on such a small scale. Think about it. What has the greatest impact on our lives on a daily basis? The large cold fronts or high pressure systems or the jet streams, or the smaller scale phenomena like thunderstorms and lake effect snow? These events may cover just a few miles and last less than an hour, but they can have a tremendous impact on our lives. The problem is that the smaller the scale of the event, like lake breezes, the harder it is to forecast, and thunderstorms are small scale. However, there are ways that we can check things out to see if thunderstorms will occur and if they become severe. We're here on the campus of Edinburgh University, where we will be talking to Dr. Carrie Moyer about how thunderstorms form. So Dr. Moyer, tell us, how do thunderstorms develop? What are some of the things that we look at in the atmosphere when we're trying to determine the development of storms?
There are a number of situations in the atmosphere that can produce thunderstorms. And one thing they all have in common, though, is that you need rising air. The air has to rise. It's critical because in order to get a thunderstorm, you need a very deep cloud, a very thick cloud. We call those clouds cumulonimbus clouds. And so the rising air through a pretty deep layer of the atmosphere is very important to producing those types of clouds. So there are a number of situations in the atmosphere that are capable of producing that. One of the situations is when the air temperature cools very quickly as you rise up above the ground. Meteorologists refer to that as an unstable atmosphere. And one of the things that can promote that is if the sun comes out and you start heating the ground and warming the air right above the ground, and this causes the warmer air to rise. Another thing that can promote that is every once in a while we'll have a cool pocket of air that'll pass overhead, and that also increase the instability in the atmosphere, make it more unstable, and that favors the generation of thunderstorms when that occurs as well. Mm-hmm. Another situation that produces the thunderstorms is when a weather front passes through the area, especially cold fronts. Cold fronts are particularly good at making the air rise very quickly. And the warm air is lighter, it's less dense. And so the cold air kind of undercuts that warmer, lighter air and makes the warmer, lighter air go up. And again, the key here for thunderstorm development is to get the air to go up in order to produce those cumulonimbus clouds and the thunderstorms.
Well, Dr. Moyer, now that we know how thunderstorms form, what are some of the things that we look at in order to determine if a thunderstorm will become severe?
The main factor we look at for severe thunderstorms is how unstable the atmosphere is. The more unstable it is, that would favor a thunderstorm to becoming severe, and also how much the wind direction changes as you move above the ground. We call that wind shear. When there's a lot of instability and a lot of wind shear, that tends to favor the development of severe thunderstorms that can cause damage. There are two different types of wind shear. Sometimes the wind speed changes dramatically with height, and other times the wind direction changes quite a bit as you move above the Earth's surface. Both of those types of wind shear will both favor the development of severe thunderstorms. In our area, in the spring and the summer, the air temperature over the lake is typically cooler, and that lake-cooled air moves ashore in the form of what we call a lake breeze front. And the lake breeze front is often acts as a mini cold front, and it acts as a focusing mechanism for the development of thunderstorms.
There's not much difference between the formation of regular thunderstorms and that of severe thunderstorms. It's mostly a matter of the degree of instability that determines whether a storm will become severe or not. Whatever the case, if there is severe weather in the region, your weather authority will make sure that you stay safe and are constantly updated this summer season.
Thanks, Tom D., for that great information about how thunderstorms develop. Of course, a main component in thunderstorms, especially the severe ones, is the development of hail. Dan Rupp will be along in a minute with more on that.
Know the difference between a watch and a warning. A watch means that severe weather is a possibility and you should stay aware of potential rough weather. Listen to TV, radio, weather radio, internet, or special weather apps to stay informed. A warning means severe weather is imminent and you need to take immediate action if it is in your area. Again, use your severe weather apps, TV, and weather radio to stay best informed of impending severe weather. It's a hot summer day, the sun is out, the humidity is high, it's sticky, and then suddenly as we head on into the afternoon, the skies start to darken, the wind picks up, and you start to hear some thunder. That means there's lightning around. You need to get to a place of safety. The best place to go? Inside. Simply by going from the outside to the inside of a building and closing all the doors, you protect yourself from getting struck by lightning by 95%.
One of the main components of severe thunderstorms is the formation of hail, some of it large. Dan Rupp is here to tell you how that develops.
Thank you very much, Tom. Hail can be captivating to watch fall from the sky in smaller sizes, but if the hailstones get a little too big, things can get a bit sketchy. Imagine a baseball-sized piece of ice traveling towards you at 120 miles per hour. Yeah, no thanks. But how exactly do those larger hailstones form though? Well, it all starts with a thunderstorm, and inside thunderstorms are updrafts where winds move vertically. An updraft will then carry raindrops upward into extremely cold parts of the atmosphere, allowing the drops to freeze. Some updrafts can actually reach speeds over 100 miles per hour. A single frozen drop may fall and start to thaw, then get picked up again by the updraft, creating another layer of ice. This cycle repeats over and over again until the hailstone gets too heavy for the supporting updraft and falls to the ground. There are actually two types of hail formation. The first one is wet growth, where liquid water droplets slowly freeze into ice, making the hail appear more translucent. The other is dry growth, where droplets freeze immediately. Small air bubbles frozen within give this type of hail a cloudy look. You can actually see both types in this picture. A single hailstone can go through both growth processes before reaching the ground, thus creating multiple layers. If you actually cut one of these hailstones in half, you can see it almost looks like a jawbreaker. Now, the National Weather Service classifies severe hail as an inch in diameter or about the size of a quarter. But keep in mind, smaller hail can still do damage in wind-blown situations, especially to plants or crops. It's just less likely to do damage to your car or a structure. Quarter-size hail can do damage to your shingles. Golf ball size could put dents in your car, and softball-size hail can literally put holes through your roof. We just talked about the hail formation, and now we're going to talk about its impacts and insurance. So I'm joined here by Matthew Barsick. He's a insurance agent here at Allstate. So we're going to fire off some questions to him and see what kind of information we can get. So the first one, which weather hazard you think causes the most damage in this area?
It's probably going to be wind and then rain damage from any of the storms that we have. There is some hail as well, not as much as the southern states, but in Pennsylvania we do get some hail as well, but mostly I'd say the wind and rain damage for sure.
Okay. What is typically damaged when it comes to hail claims that you have here at Allstate?
The first thing that people are going to think of, and the thing that's probably damaged the most, is your automobile if it's parked outside, but also your roof on your house, the siding, the windows, patio furniture gets damaged, plants get damaged. Anything that's sitting outside that's not covered is obviously going to be damaged as well. For sure, your auto if you don't park in the garage, and then your roof on your house too, because that's going to be the first thing that's going to be hit.
Does home insurance usually cover hail damage?
Yeah, it's company specific, but here at Allstate we do cover hail damage through a hail and wind deductible that we have. It varies. It can be different than your normal deductible, so we always recommend checking with your current company to see what your actual hail deductible is and make sure it's covered.
Okay, and how about car insurance?
Same thing on cars. As long as you have comprehensive coverage on your automobile, typically your insurance company will cover that as well. You do have a deductible that can range from 0 to up to $500.
What can people do to make sure their property is covered for hail?
So your property at your house, if you can move anything that you have sitting outside, patio furniture or plants that you can move them, I would recommend moving them inside to the garage. If it's going to be a roof claim or roof damage that you have, you want to get someone out there to take a look at it and make sure that it's not damaged in a harmful way.
From a hail perspective, where does Pennsylvania rank nationally?
Well, we're outside of the top 10, luckily, but it doesn't mean that we don't get that random hailstorm, especially here in Erie. We don't get as much as south, like Philadelphia, but we do get it up here, so it's important to be prepared.
If a warning is issued for your area and it is said the storm contains large hail, it is important to move inside a structure immediately. And feel free to call the National Weather Service to report any large hail after the warning has expired. If your property is damaged, be sure to call your insurance agent as soon as possible.
Thank you, Dan. Never underestimate the power and destructiveness of hail. Stay tuned. Coming up next, Tom Atkins will be talking about the importance of storm chasers in severe weather coverage.
Did you know that the largest recorded hailstone was found in Vivian, South Dakota on July 23, 2010? This monster had the diameter of 8 inches, which is about as wide as a volleyball, and weighed about 2 pounds. Mr. Lee Scott originally wanted to make daiquiris out of the hailstone, but decided against it, put it in the freezer, and turned it over to the National Weather Service. We as meteorologists utilize a variety of ways to attain severe weather information, like Doppler radar and sky-worn personnel. And there's another important one, and that is storm chasers. Tom Atkins will have more.
One of the most important components of your jet weather team is our storm chase team. Radar is great, computer model forecasts are great, but nothing beats having eyes on the ground. We're going to start out with the veteran, Steve Marshall, with over 30 years of experience. He was an actual consultant on the Discovery Series TV show, Storm Chasers. He's also taken people to the Midwest on what he calls tornado tours, and he's been here in Pennsylvania for many, many years.
I've been chasing since, early 90s. My first chase was about 1972, I think, in Oklahoma, but as an active chaser since the early 90s.
What got you interested in storm chasing?
My father was from Oklahoma, and we spent a lot of time out there when I was a kid, and we used to sit on the porch and watch the storms go by, and it just evolved into a natural hobby, I guess. In 2000, we were contacted by a TV studio, a production studio in Dallas, asked us to come out and meet with them, and we spent a day in their studio, and we hammered out some ideas. And the show got picked up after that for development, is what they call it. It disappears for a couple of years. At that time, it was called Chasers. By the time it came out of development and was picked up by the Discovery Channel, it was now called Storm Chasers and had taken an entirely different twist to the original concept. We were involved in the backside of it, the production part of it, for the first 2 seasons. And then somebody else took over and took it in a different direction. They were concentrating more on the excitement issue. How close can we get and survive? Do we really need debris bouncing off the windshield, that sort of thing. The show had really taken a turn towards the daring for ratings purposes. It really at that point had been kind of dull, I can understand why they did it, but I don't want no part of it. As an offshoot of the Storm Chasers show, we got approached by Josh Warman, who drives or operates the Doppler on Wheels, and he had a group of scientists that wanted to accompany the Doppler on Wheels, but there's only seating for 2 in that vehicle. So we got a van and got all licensed and insured to take the scientists out, and that was good for the first couple of months. But we already had all this and we had the license, so that just evolved into an actual tornado tours. And we were operated out of Oklahoma City 3 months a year, and we did that for about 7 years. People would fly in from Australia and Europe and New Zealand and Japan and just spend 2 weeks at a time out there in the plains with us, and we'd show them. If we couldn't show them storms, we'd show them the tourist stuff. But most days we had something in the sky to show them. In 2000, just before we went to Dallas to meet with the TV studio, we were in Harvey County, Kansas, and we had gotten trapped in a supercell that seemed to be chasing us, and we were right in the bear's cage, and we had some scary moments, and where we really thought the tornado was going to sit down right on top of us. It just seemed like every time we turned to the right to try to get out of its path, it just hooked onto us and chased us. And we were caught up in that storm a good 2 hours. And that was some of the heaviest rain I've ever seen, large hail, lightning, and constant tornado warnings.
What about it here locally in Pennsylvania?
Nighttime chase in Ashtabula County about 10 years ago. We were sitting in the core of the storm, and suddenly limbs and branches and leaves started blowing past us. We could only see it in our lighting. We carry quite a bit of lighting on our vehicle here for just that purpose. When they issued a tornado warning, as we were seeing all this debris flying past, and it was so bad we couldn't move, so we were stuck, and that's a bad spot to be in. I try really hard not to core punch a storm if I can, avoid it. In that case, it core punched us.
What would you say to people that might be interested in doing what you do?
Start out with the bare basics, get some training, take the Skywarn spotter course, and get out there in your yard, in your neighborhoods, and just storm spot to get a feel for it. And then you really need to take some additional training. Don't do it without some knowledge, maybe even an experienced storm chaser along for the first year or 2. It can be very dangerous. If you make a wrong turn, you end up in the bear's cage, and you can lose a windshield at least. You can lose your life at worst.
Well, we're going to turn from the veteran Steve to a very unique portion of our storm team, a mother-daughter combination, Heather and Rebecca Reichel.
As a younger kid, I was living in Pennsylvania when May 31st, 1985 happened. And I remember after all the dust settled, my grandparents taking me out to see where the tornadoes had gone. And it was scary, and the fact that there wasn't a lot of warning. And as I grew older, I realized just how little warning they really did have, and how I thought it should be changed. More recently, in October of this past year, I was in Conneautville when the tornado hit Rolling Fields Nursing Home. I was actually driving on Route 198 in front of the nursing home, not realizing, because I could not see. The rain was just, so intense. When the tree fell beside me, I pulled over and waited, and it was then that I saw the destruction to the nursing home.
Tell us about how Rebecca got involved and what she does.
Well, Rebecca was 14 years old, and I wanted a partner to go out. It was very difficult to run a camera, read radar, drive, and know where you're at on the roadway by yourself. So I told her I would buy her snacks. So I bribed her at 14. She was bribable, and she learned how to read the radar and navigate the roadways so that we stayed out of the core of the storm. And she has guided me safely for the past 5 years, 4 years, past 4 years. And I don't have to buy her snacks anymore. She still likes them, but she now knows that she's doing an important job, and I think she's proud of it.
You're out there because you're helping people stay safe, and it's really important. But most of the time it's really scary, and it can get really dangerous. I wasn't always like afraid of storms. I didn't think much about them, but when you're out there, it's different perspective of what it can be like. So I get a bit more jumpy around like thunder and stuff. Me and my mom were sitting in the car once, and suddenly a really loud crack and a flash hit like really close to the car, and I think she was recording at the time, but I don't know if she still has it, but I screamed really loud.
I think that was louder than
yeah. But yeah, the car almost got struck by lightning, and it was really scary.
So thank you to our Jet Fox Your Erie Storm Chase team, the folks that go towards the storm while we're trying to warn you about the storm. You'll be seeing a lot from these folks over the next few months. Let's talk about lightning for a minute. Here's some fun facts to swap and share. First of all, lightning in and of itself does not make a thunderstorm severe because all thunderstorms contain lightning, no matter how frequent. Another interesting fact is that lightning can strike from what's called out of the blue, up to 10 miles away from the parent thunderstorm. So this very good and old adage applies in many instances. When thunder roars, go indoors. Here's another interesting fact about lightning. The temperature of lightning has been estimated to be 50,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 5 times the surface of the sun. And here's the real kicker. If you are in Ohio, Pennsylvania, or New York State, you are in the top 10 states of lightning fatalities. So again, some interesting and hopefully educational facts on lightning. When thunder roars, go indoors. Stay safe. Thanks for watching our 2019 Severe Weather Special. We've got a lot of people to thank.
That's right, including Dr. Kerry Moyer of Edinburgh University, telling us about how thunderstorms form.
And thanks to Matt Barsick, an insurance agent at Allstate, where he talked about insurance coverage and also some hail safety tips.
And a big hearty thanks to our entire Storm Chase team, Steve Marshall, Heather Reichel, and her daughter, Rebecca Reichel. Big thanks to our producer, Kent Urbanski, and a big thanks to you folks. Of course, we'll be here all spring and summer. Jet TV, Fox 66, YourErie.com, and all our social media platforms. Thanks for your support. Make it a great night.